Why don't we go ahead and get this party started? Everyone sound good? Cool with you, Lydia? Corbin, you got everything ready to go? Blink twice if you're ready. All right. What's up, everybody? Thanks for coming to our first ever webinar here at Consume Media. I am one of your hosts, Leo Falkenstein, the co-founder and executive producer at Consume Media. A little bit about me. Started the business with Michael, who is one of our great attendees we started about 12 years ago. We'll talk a little bit about Consume later. We're a full-service video marketing agency. Me personally, I like hockey. I like the Georgia Bulldogs. I like the Grateful Dead. I'm seeing Dead and Company at the Sphere next month, so that'll be a good time. But anyway, that's a little bit about me. Lydia's way more interesting. Lydia, tell us about you.
I don't think that's true, but I do appreciate the sentiment. Hi, everyone. My name is Lydia Rosenberg. I am the head of sales here at Consume Media. I have known Leo for almost 15 years, which is amazing. Really excited to be a part of this team. Prior to working here at Consume Media, I actually worked in the events and hospitality industry here in Atlanta. So, working at venues such as the W Atlanta Midtown, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Illuminarium, and the College Football Hall of Fame. So I'm really excited to be able to bring that expertise and experience that I've had to join in on, be able to sort of bring that into the world of video marketing. And so we're really excited for this webinar. And we're gonna also, I'm super excited to share, and we see her on camera here too, Taylor with Shepard. She is going to be our special guest later on in this webinar for an exclusive Q&A. Taylor is the VP of Marketing and Brand Strategy at Shepard. Many of you may know who she is or are familiar with Shepard, and we're going to learn a little bit more about how Taylor and Shepard like to leverage video for not only their events, but just their general marketing efforts as well. So Taylor, thanks for being with us, and everyone stay tuned because once we go through a little bit of a presentation, you'll hear live from Taylor. So let's get this party started. What we'll cover in terms of an agenda, Leo will take us through just a quick introduction to Consume Media. Some of you may not be familiar with our organization. We'll also talk about why video at events. You may think, of course, you do an event recap video. That seems obvious, but there's so many other reasons to incorporate and leverage video for your event. So we'll be going through those various reasons. We'll also talk about the three buckets of event videos. We'll showcase some examples of those types of videos. And then, as I mentioned, we'll do that Q&A with Taylor. So let's go ahead and get it going with a reel.
That music's hype. Great work. Awesome. Well, guys, you just saw our event reel. You saw on the bottom left that there was a lot of different types of videos, and we're really going to talk about that here today. Before we get that, a little bit about Consume Media. We're a full-service video marketing agency located here in Atlanta, Georgia. We've done a lot of events in Atlanta. I've done events all over the country as well. Even went out to Mexico, to Cancun, to cover an event last year. So can do events everywhere, but as you know, our studio and our team is based here in the metro Atlanta area. We've been around for about 12 years, founded actually in April of 2012, so almost exactly 12 years. Happy birthday, Consume Media. And as you'll see at the bottom, some extensive event experience, which is a good segue into our next slide, which talks about all of the different events and companies that we've worked with. You've seen some of the biggest event places in the world. venues in the world, in Atlanta and the world. Mercedes-Benz Stadium, that's nice, front and center on the list. Ameris Bank Amphitheater has been a client before. Shepard, one of the biggest event service providers, is one of our big clients, and of course Taylor Elliot is joining us here today. And then you see trade shows, Enterwire, ASUG, Printing United, AHOA, many of those in collaboration with Shepard, so shout out to them as well. And then you see a lot of businesses as well. Ultimately, we have worked with a lot of nonprofits, corporate companies to ultimately cover their events and create a lot of videos from their events, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. So we'll talk about why we're going to be doing events first, and then we're going to why we do video at events first, and then we're going to talk about the different types of videos that can be created at events. Let's start with why video. So ultimately, if you have an event, more than likely you're going to want to promote it, build anticipation, right? So whether you're ultimately trying to sell tickets, whether you're just trying to drive events for sponsorship, obviously the more people who come to your events, the more you can sell sponsorships for. You want to get people there somehow, and video promos can be a great way to build anticipation and ultimately drive attendance. So that's a lot of the pre-event, what can you do? But while you're there, what else can you do? You can capture stories, whether it's just someone attending the event, whether it's a partner, whether it's a client, whether it's one of your employees. Tell their stories and ultimately share that knowledge with the world. Really, having so many people in one spot can be such a great way to capture not just one, not just two, not just three testimonials or interviews in a day, but as many as you could possibly line up. And ultimately, once you film that, once you capture the information, whether that's a panel, whether that's a B-roll, a recap video, or whether that's a testimony or a culture video, you use all the footage that you've had to immortalize the event and ultimately do the same thing again next year. Build anticipation, drive in attendance, and it goes on and on and on and on. Additionally, enable sales efforts. So again, a lot of the videos that you can create are not just to promote events, but also to drive other parts of your business. Again, whether that's testimonials or thought leadership or other types of videos like that. So combined a little bit of why video with some of the videos that we can create. So let's kind of keep moving and talk about the different types of videos we can create.
Yes, thanks, Leo. So Leo did a great job summarizing the reasons why we should be capturing video content before, during, and after your events. But let's talk a little bit more about what specific videos you should be doing. I mentioned earlier event recap. That seems to be sort of the default, the one that people tend to think about first and foremost. But we have so many other types of videos. So first, we're going to get into B-roll. And B-roll footage is really the sort of most simple way that you can incorporate video in your event. You can hire a team, maybe Consume Media, to come with a camera operator and a producer slash director, be on site for your event, capturing specific shots that perhaps you really want to capture. So maybe you have VIP guests or speakers, really exciting and interesting event decor or activities and games set up in your space. Maybe the purpose of, capturing the B-roll is that you want to showcase just how fun your event is, so you drive attendance for future events. So it's really easy for us to come on site, capture that B-roll, and then create some really, really dynamic and engaging pieces of content. Again, event promos, as Leo mentioned before, really building attendance, driving ticket sales, generating awareness so people know that your event is on the horizon. Event recaps, I always like to say this is sort of the FOMO creator. You want people to look at that event and say, oh wow, I should have gone. Why didn't I attend? And then additionally, if we do plan far enough in advance, we can do same day edits and next day edits as well. A lot of times people, want an event recap, but a standard turnaround for just sort of a standard event video, maybe 2 to 3 weeks after your event. But if we plan ahead and plan accordingly, we can have editors on site, and we can be, dumping footage, creating videos and content for your social media, either during the event or immediately after. So you're really capitalizing on that engagement, the people, the sort of excitement around your event. And that's a really easy way to ensure that you're really maximizing that excitement as well. So we're going to go into a few different examples, and we'll let the first one roll. It's so hard for me not to dance during that song because
It's
that
a
song
good
just
song. It's a good
it gets
song.
me hyped. Yeah, thanks, Leo. I saw you moving a little bit. So this
Yep,
is an
I can
example
boogie.
of an event promo that we created for Hemophilia of Georgia. We filmed this footage at the previous year's event, and we created that footage and combined it with some really bold text call outs, call to actions, video, a really nice video branding package that you see on display here to, again, do exactly what we've talked about. Generate awareness. Hey, this is an event that we have. Build anticipation. Aren't you excited? Don't you want to attend? Doesn't this look great? And then also, again, a clear call to action. Register by this time, by this date. This is when the event is, and really driving that attendance. We love this video. I think this is a great one. And again, you pair it with the right type of music, you're going to have people dancing in their chairs when they're watching the video. We're going to go into another example of an event promo that's a little different. So this next one is for the city of Lawrenceville. We made a series of about 10 different event promos for various events that they host in their sort of downtown area. And you can see here that this was optimized for social media. Again, a specific aspect ratio, that 1-to-1 ratio, that square. So that's something to also consider as you are generating this type of content and that's where we can come in and help you, is ensuring that we're doing the right aspect ratios. Again, really trying to get people excited and generating that awareness, having a call to action, website at the end, and get people attending your events. And this last example from the B-roll footage, we'll go ahead and roll that one too, is from Illuminarium. So I actually worked at Illuminarium, and so I partnered with Consume Media to create this video. What we did is we partnered together to capture the grand opening event for Illuminarium. And so Illuminarium really wanted to have a video that served sort of dual purposes. First was an event recap, so could be posted to social media. Hey, look at our amazing grand opening. Doesn't this look so fun? And then also it was repurposed as a sales enablement tool. For myself as the event sales manager at the venue, I use this video everywhere to showcase to clients just what the capabilities were of the venue. As you can imagine, in a place like Illuminarium or a lot of different locations, video speaks a lot louder than perhaps the still image. And so I think this video was really, really integral in the success of the venue as an event space in Atlanta. And now we've sort of wrapped up some examples on B-roll. I'm going to kick it back over to Leo to talk through the next type of video for events.
So, as Lydia mentioned earlier, when people think about event video, they usually think about what you just saw from Lydia. They think about, oh, come out and film and let's capture a 90-second video and let's promote it. Now, usually they don't even think about promoting it for next year. That's where, ultimately we can come in and make some recommendations. And they really don't think about anything else. Now, events are awesome for so many reasons, and you'll get the idea just by looking at the different types of videos on it. It's really about the people that are there and the stories that they are able to tell. Imagine you are a corporate, call yourself a local startup here in Atlanta, and you're having a big event with all of your customers. Why would you not have a customer testimonial booth and set that up and get as many testimonials as you can in a single day? Imagine you're having an internal event, and all of your executives are in one spot because everyone works remote. All of your executives are in one spot for the first time all year. Why would you not dedicate 30 minutes with each of your executive to get and hear their story and turn that into thought leadership content? Imagine it's not an executive event. It's just a culture event. It's an all hands. It's an offsite. Why would you not get the perspectives of your best employees and talk about how great it is to ultimately work at your company? And think about this. We're going to go into a few examples shortly, but just think about production costs. How much does it cost to film 5 testimonial days versus 1 testimonial day? About 1/5 as much, right? So ultimately, if you can just pack a lot of great interviews into one day, you're going to do yourselves a huge service and ultimately save a tremendous amount on production costs. So that's a little bit about the different types of videos that you can capture that are interview-based at events. Let's get into our first example here. This first one really combines events and interviews. Let's play it out.
Mercedes-Benz Stadium is more than just a stadium. It really is a world-class venue. You have that wow factor, and that's exactly what we're going for, to make a big statement and put FinTech South on the map.
So, again, what you see here is actually promoting a specific venue. So if you work at a specific venue or if you work at an events organization, this might be right up your alley, right? Ultimately, you can see what Mercedes-Benz Stadium did, right? They had this huge event and they wanted to hear from the customer how great and seamless the experience was. Not just hear from the customer, but look how awesome it looked as well, right? Why would you ultimately, if you watched this video, if you heard from the VP of events and you saw how sweet this event looked, it's really a great opportunity, a great piece of content for someone to for a sales rep to give to a client and showcase the power of what they can do at their venue. So this is one example of how you can capture customer testimonials at an event for an event, well, event venue specifically. On to the next one. So this is customer testimonials. This is a customer event that they had. So obviously this is more for a corporate organization. Let's let it play out real quick.
Our relationship with Terminus has been fantastic.
A lot of my professional success has been built on, frankly, collaborating with the team at Terminus.
Our marketing team is...
One day, 9 interviews, and I think 20 pieces of content. Their theme was rock stars, so we really created a rock star set. It's got some guitars, amps, even a pretty sweet rug in there. Ultimately, we made 9 2-minute testimonials, 9 videos that were optimized for advertising, and 1 teaser video that you see here that combines it all together. So again, 9 production days to get 9 interviews, or 1 production day to get 9 interviews. One's going to be a better value than the other. Let's keep moving.
What has allowed Shepard to be at the forefront of the industry trends is a commitment to evolution of our associates. We're committed to fulfilling our Blue Diamond customer service and ensuring that the process is...
Shout out to our friends at Shepard here. You can go ahead and mute it all the way, Corbin. And you can see, again, you've seen 2 people thus far in this video. And I think there were 5 or 6 individuals that we're interviewing this day. So you see this one video that is about Shepard that featured 6 executive and people on the leadership team at Shepard. But as you can imagine, you get the theme of what we're talking about here today. We didn't just create one video. I think we created 6, 7, 8 videos, and ultimately there's more on the cutting room floor that whenever Taylor says, "Hey, consume, do you have any content about this?" we're ready to pick it up and go. So a few examples of how you can how you can have an event and make sure that you maximize what you're able to create based off the people who are in that room. Let's keep moving. Oh, I have another example. Recruitment. Let's let it play out.
I would describe the culture at Relation as
collaborative, vibrant,
exciting,
engaging,
the culture at Relation is inclusive,
diverse,
phenomenal.
What makes Relation great on a day-to-day basis is the people that you're working with.
Everyone comes from different backgrounds.
So, you've seen testimonials, you've seen thought leadership, and now you're seeing how you can capture a culture video at your offsite or even at your office, depending on the situation. But you can see Relation said, "Hey, come out. We have everyone coming in, and we're going to ultimately want to tell the story of the culture and ultimately use this for recruitment." You can see we set up a room with their brand colors and ultimately captured a lot of good B-roll of the people that ultimately drove the story, that told the story of who Relation is and why it's a great place to work. So again, next company offsite, yeah, we can create that recap video. Why not also create a culture video that might, last for years and years and years?
Amazing. Thank you, Leo, for going over all the different types of videos from an interviews-based style. Now, last but not least, and this is our last sort of category or bucket of video types for events, is live recordings. So this seems simple enough as well, and it can be very simple. This is hiring a team to come and sort of collaborate and connect with your AV team at the event space to set up cameras, plug into audio, and capture those keynotes, panels, the individual sessions, and perhaps some like really VIP guest speakers. I know that we were at Technology Association of Georgia's event last week or 2 weeks ago, and we're capturing content. They had the mayor there, the governor, all speaking at their event. Those are really, really key, important people that you want to make sure that you're capturing what they're saying at your event. And so we are able to come and capture this content and not only use that content perhaps for recaps, culture videos, etc., but we can also turn the entire 75-minute keynote into a 75-minute video and have that, again, immortalizing your event to where now that knowledge can be shared to people beyond the guests that attended your event. So, posting it on your YouTube, perhaps hosting an additional event in the future that you are, sharing a recorded version, but making sure that that knowledge isn't being contained only to the individuals who could attend in person. So let's get into an example here. Next is with our friends over at Ashby. And Ashby hired us to come capture their keynote speaker and their sessions in Cancun. Leo mentioned it before. And you can see here that we created a bit more of a robust video branding package for this event and for this video, where we combined not only the keynote live session speaker, but also the content that the speaker was referencing throughout the presentation as well. And, how to have a branded background. And this entire video, again, was 75 minutes long. So we're able to create a video that your guests and your potential customers or other stakeholders and shareholders, etc., can enjoy on their own time in the future. And then we have one last example here. This is our last video example before we get into our Q&A. But this was with HP, and this was specifically an internal training as well. So this video was not created to live externally or to be used as a sales or marketing tool, but to be utilized internally. So for those individuals who weren't able to join the live session, or perhaps they're hired after, you do an entire, 2 days of training, onboarding new people, and then you have someone new on board, and instead of doing a whole new training session for them, you can now use this video content and really, again, create some of those efficiencies within your organization. So that is the end of our different examples. And, just again, to recap why video, Leo mentioned this all in the beginning, but these are the things that we want everyone to be thinking about, right? Building anticipation, driving attendance. You want people to be excited and you want people to show up to your event, right? And then at the event, capture those stories, whether it's from the point of view of your customer, your executives, your employees, your sponsors, so many different voices that attend your event that you should be capturing and ensuring that you're sharing that with the world. And then again, making sure your event doesn't just, live only for those who attended. Immortalize that event, make sure that other people have access to it in the future, and help your sales teams. As a salesperson, I love having videos. Makes my job easier, makes it more fun, makes it easier to follow up with your with your potential customers and say, hey, you don't have to hear it from me. Why don't you watch this really great customer testimonial example from Taylor Elliot that we just finished recently and posted on our LinkedIn. So again, why video? These are those reasons. And I hope you guys learned something from this presentation. But Leo and I have been talking a lot, and now we want Taylor to talk. So Taylor, can you please introduce yourself, tell us who you are and where you work, and we'll just kick off our conversation.
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for having me. So excited to be here. Love working with you guys. It's been a pleasure. I think we're going on year 2 of our relationship, so it's awesome, and I foresee it continuing to grow because you guys have done amazing work. But a little bit about me. So I am the VP of Marketing and Brand Strategy at Shepard. At a high level, we're a general service contractor for large-scale trade shows and corporate events. So sometimes that resonates with people, sometimes it doesn't. So in simple terms, essentially, we are the builder of the events. To make a trade show happen, you have to leverage a company like Shepard to help produce it. So we are nationwide. We are basically in all of the industry hubs when it comes to large scale events, so Vegas, Orlando, DC, across the nation. In regards to what I do, so I oversee our brand strategy. And essentially, my job is to tell our story as well as enable our sales team and other departments across the organization to do so as well and make sure that it's consistent and moving the needle. In addition, also work to provide resources that support our customers. So there's a variety of things that we do, but at a high level, it's telling the Shepard narrative and making sure that our brand is evolving and growing. So yeah.
Cool. Taylor, thanks for coming on the show. Really, really
Yes,
excited to
love
have you
it.
here. And thanks for being a longtime customer of Consume Media, partner of Consume Media, I should say. So here's my first question for you, Taylor.
Yes.
You work for a company that puts on events. You're
Yeah.
not necessarily marketing the events, but you are using content that is mostly captured at events to tell your brand story. Tell a little bit about that and how you think about that process.
Oh, yes, I could ramble forever on this, but Lydia and I were talking kind of in preparation for this. And, we were just kind of going back and forth and sharing how, in my seat in particular, it's a very interesting perspective because there's a lot of lenses in which we can look at video marketing and how to leverage it. And so, first it goes back to that idea of like the story that we want to tell. So, when we hire you, there's a variety of reasons why we would do that. It could be to conceptualize an idea that we have in our brain. Maybe it's a service or product that we want to roll out, that we don't have any physical evidence or anything to show of it yet, but we want to articulate that. So there's that lens. There's the B-roll lens, which you spoke on, and that has a multitude of benefits in its own fashion with telling and showcasing our capabilities, but then also the capabilities of our customer. And you touched on something earlier kind of around like budget optimization, which, I would love to kind of dig a little deeper on and kind of share my 2 cents. I think you touched on it a little bit in capitalizing on the reducing the production days, but I think there's another lens too that you can think of is, we have a retainer with you all. So to your point, we're getting B-roll and then, at a later date, we're getting all of our customer testimonials in one day, and then we'll have a variety of videos. But then at the end of the year, we have this whole library of videos. And then the year prior, we had another library of videos. And so we kind of, in a sense, take this breadcrumb approach. So then we can take little pieces of different videos and combine them to make additional content. And so you're maximizing your budget in a variety of ways. And then I'm rambling a little bit, but the last thing that you also touched on a little was internal education. But I also think that there's an argument for leveraging video for just internal buy-in. I think I've said this to you all before, but big believer in that, like branding and marketing starts at home first, inside. You have to get your associates to believe in the story that you're telling. Otherwise, the narrative externally is going to be different than all of the work you're doing. So all that said, I guess you can say that I'm a big believer in video marketing and just the variety of ways in which you can use it.
Thank you, Taylor. Yeah, I mean, and I think you mentioned as well that you're just such a unique perspective because in the events industry, because you are enabling events, you're also hosting your own event, you are you're capturing content for it's just all the different ways and avenues that you can be involved in events and with videos. And so that's really we love working with you and thinking again strategically. Now I have going into sort of a next question is, have you seen or have you sort of like, what's been your favorite video related campaign that you've done for Shepard, whether it's something that has been more, customer like success focused or branding, internal, external, etc.?
Oh gosh, it's so hard to pick just one, but first thing off the top of my head would be kind of our end of year recap, and that goes back to that idea of the breadcrumbing thing, and that was a late ad. I don't think we initially scoped that out, but why I liked and enjoyed that was because we were able to reflect on everything that we accomplished in the year. And so some of the videos that we produced in January or whatever they were early on, Q1 of last year, you completely forget about, or even the events, because you just, are on to the next one kind of thing. And so I think that one is amazing. I mean, gosh, I could go on forever. I would say the most impactful ones are our customer testimonials. I think our customers are better advocates for us than sometimes we can be, because they have nothing to lose, right, with just sharing their honest thoughts. And so we've really benefited from a lot of the customer testimonials where we combine B-roll and the interviews. Oh, we got a question. I love it.
I know. I was going to say we have a question from Tracy Meisner, who, shout out to Mr. Meisner. I've known him for many, many years. Big supporter of Consume Media. But Taylor, Tracy has a question for you.
Sure.
And I think this will kind of play into some recent things that some partnerships between Consume and Shepard. But does your client, Shepard, ever hire Consume Media, and how would that work? Would that be something that you would, put into your budget to your client and kind of work Consume Media through you? Or would you, directly connect that client with Consume Media?
Oh, this is a great question. I think there's a multitude of ways that we could go about addressing this. I think it's gonna first come down to, scope of work and what is the request. What is the request, and how does that lend itself to the client, and what does that contract look like for us on our side, and is there a part of our contracted budget that we can allocate to support this? But I mean, you guys are a part of our solutions network, so there's huge benefits to being part of that, hopefully to drive business for you guys as well. So I wouldn't say that it's always the case that we would, I guess, book Consume on behalf of the customer, but we can definitely funnel Consume to them. And then it starts the conversations around just negotiations, because the likelihood that if Consume is going to an event that we're producing, Shepard can also probably benefit from that B-roll as well. So there's, an argument for our investment. So it just kind of depends on where we're at also too with our retainer. Do we have leftover budget? All sorts of things. But, I think there's definitely ways to meet in the middle and make all parties benefit.
Awesome. I agree. And yes, we are officially and recently members of the Shepard Solutions Network, which is very exciting, where Shepard brings on their strategic partners and those organizations that, provide benefits to their customer base. And so we're really excited to be a part of that network and continuing to leverage our partnership with Taylor and Shepard as well. And then, Leo, I'll let you kick off the next question.
Taylor, I got a question. This is off script, but you'll be able to talk about it. So,
sure. I don't even have the script up, so I'm just winging it right now. It's coming from the heart.
So we've talked about videos at events. We've talked about the events where we go at and we capture video content, whether that's a testimonial, whether that's B-roll, and ultimately we edit those together. We just wrapped a production day with you guys last month that benefits your team and events, but was not filmed at events. Will you talk about that and the value you think that'll bring for you?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that you guys covered a lot of the buckets of the value of video, but one, and this lends itself to the answer to this question, is another benefit to video is service to me. So I think that video can operate as an extension of your team and providing service to your attendees. So whether that's empowering them with the information that they need, let's just say the know before you goes, or you're trying to communicate a very complex process, which in this case we are, as a general service contractor, we have kind of two tiers of customers. So we have our top line association, corporate customer, and then the exhibitors that they serve. And so those exhibitors become our customers for a very short time. But within that time, we need to be able to communicate and partner with them to tell them everything they need to know on this very complex process of how to exhibit at a show. And every show is different based on location, union rules, all of those things. So we're utilizing video to help hopefully bridge that education gap and help to extend service to them. So this goes back to the idea that I always say, let's create a system that works for you. So now we have these videos, we have these exhibitors that have questions. They're able to problem solve a little bit on their own. Obviously, we're still available, but we're seeing customer service trends go more and more towards problem solving. I think there's a stat out there. You helped with this video as well. Like 87% of consumers will look to go to solve the problem first on their own. And so creating resources to empower them to do that, video is a great way to do so.
Awesome. Yeah, look, I thought that campaign was great, and you're right. Like, we didn't really talk about service. We talked about thought leadership. We talked about testimonials. We talked about employees, but there's that other side of interview-based content, or, it doesn't necessarily have to be interview-based content, but service. And you're right. I mean, you said that what you guys are doing can be complicated. There's a lot of people with a lot of questions. So why not help them out with some video?
Yeah. And I think another benefit to partnering with you all, and this may be going on a tangent, but going back to that idea of very complicated process, working with you guys who serve a variety of customers, it's kind of that, I think there's value in, ignorance is bliss. So if you guys don't understand the process that we're trying to convey, then it's not going to make sense to our customer. So there's this additional benefit to partnering with someone outside of your organization to make sure that you're communicating efficiently and effectively so that your demographic understands what you're trying to say.
Absolutely. If I can understand it, then someone else can understand it. Is kind of
right, because you have no skin in the game, right?
Yeah.
Oftentimes as brands, we're biased and we fail to see and understand what other people don't know because we know. So
Yeah.
I think, that's another reason I like
and using, corporate jargon or using certain acronyms that you maybe assume that your client base would all know, but now it's, hey, let's take a step back. Let's make sure we're explaining everything. And I think that's a great way. We're excited to see how those videos turn out. So stay tuned, everyone, to see how those videos turn out for the customer success campaign for Shepard.
And an additional benefit, which I didn't even think about, and you touched on this too, Leo, was, we were creating these for our customers, but these are also going to be onboarding videos now for our associates and help for our new customer service reps. Now they have education when they, become a new employee at Shepard, they can understand our process through these 8 videos. So I could go on and on about how these will help Shepard in the future, but anyway.
Awesome.
Fabulous.
We got another question from Tracy. Why don't we jump into this one?
All right.
Cool.
Amazing.
So this question is actually for me or Lydia. So Taylor, you can hang out, listen. You probably have some ideas too based off how we've sold it to you. But the question is essentially, how does Consume Media pitch what we do to companies, right? Especially event companies. And the way I break it down simply, Tracy, is we really give a presentation kind of similar to what we just gave here, right? If someone ultimately comes to us and says, hey, we have an event, how can we work together? Or said, hey, we have an event and we want a recap video, we might come back with a very similar presentation, probably a little bit shorter to what we just gave, but ultimately walk through all the values of video. And the thing about video is we're fortunate that we're in an industry where you know it when you see it, right? We have a product that is visual that you can see. So when someone sees 9 people getting interviewed at one event, there's value to that, right? You could say it, and you can also show it. So that's kind of how I'd answer that question. Lydia, would you add anything, or Taylor, anything that you can remember us pitching back to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think Leo, you said it really well, and I think what we like to do at Consume is try to have our partners think longer term, think bigger picture. Yes, that often means bigger budget as well, and not is not always available in every instance or at every, opportunity. But we want to think, and this is what Taylor mentioned earlier, and we've kind of talked about, is capitalizing, stretching your dollar to create more content and to think again longer term. An event recap video is great and people like it and they want it. They want to be able to, again, we talked about it, immortalize your event, kind of create that sense of FOMO, etc. So in turn, hopefully that even that event recap video may help drive attendance for next year. But in 18 months, you're not posting that event recap video. Maybe you are, and maybe there's a an opportunity for it. Maybe you're posting it in addition, in anticipation of a next event. But what you can be promoting and utilizing in 18 months potentially, or any given amount of time, is thought leadership, customer testimonials, culture, recruitment, etc. All these different types of videos now, and especially if you remember the example we shared earlier with Relation, where we had the testimonial or the interview set up with just a branded colored backdrop. That video is now in my view sort of separate from the event in many ways. Like that video now, that could have been filmed in an office, it could have been filmed outside, like it could have been filmed anywhere, and now that video doesn't have to be tied to the fact that you had an event. And I think that's where we've seen a lot of really positive feedback with people when you start talking about, let's get more content, let's get you more. And let's not just spend X dollars and get you one 90-second recap video or 60-second recap video. Let's spend a little bit more. Let's think about it. And now let's get you, as Leo mentioned, for one customer event, 20 pieces of content, right? It was 9 individual customer testimonials, one overview highlighting all of the testimonials, and then spin-offs for social. That's a lot of content for your company that otherwise, if you hadn't thought about that in that strategic way, that you've sort of created from what could have just been one 90-second video. So that's sort of what we think about too.
I'd love to add some perspective from the client side too. So I think, this kind of organically happened with our relationship, but I would say for us and for me, when I'm like looking, at our agency partner, I think the first thing you have to do is build trust. And that is with the decision maker as well as beyond that. And so, within our first year, we had some home runs, honestly, with our Printing United testimonial and some other ones. And so, while my leader, who ultimately approves my budget, wasn't in that room, part of the planning and all of that, he saw the end outcome. And so the work that you guys did and we collaborated on tells the story and does the work for you guys, right? Because that trust was immediately built. So then, over the course of the year, that trust continued to be built because you guys continued to deliver. And so then we look at next year, which is now 2024. I don't even have to sit here and beg because that trust has been built and the impact has been shown. So if you can build trust and show the value, I feel like a lot of time the business side takes care of itself.
Mm-hmm. I want to follow up on that, and really it's Landon who wrote a question to us who is following up on this. But the question, like, for me is like, look, when we started working together, Taylor, you either had bad video, but mostly no video, right? So how did you talked about trust, but how did you pitch the value, right? How did you pitch the value of video to people at your team?
Yeah, I mean, this goes back to, being in a very interesting position just with how complicated but also simple what we do is. But how do we tell the story of over the course of a year, we partner with our top line client to produce this event, and then we have this 1 week window where we build basically a city and then we take it down, and it's very obvious to me that there's no way that a picture can tell that whole story. And so how do you do that? video, because you're able to tell that narrative in all of those things. And so, we had dabbled in it a little bit before, I was, overseeing our brand strategy. And I was like, this can be better. And so I was just really focused on telling the right story. And I knew that video was the way to do it. And, I'm fortunate that, who I report to is willing to try new things. And so, that's the other thing. And the additional thing, though, is when I'm spending money, you best believe that I will be the most prepared person, and you get every single dollar that I'm spending. We will benefit and get the most out of every single dollar. And so I think being prepared and knowing, like, okay, let's just say I'm throwing this out there, $10,000, what for XYZ reason, whatever project it is, we're going to get the most bang for our buck. And so on my side, I had to do my due diligence, not because he asked, but just goes back to building trust on the other side of the coin, right? Being prepared and having a game plan so that you don't waste that opportunity is another way to do that.
Amazing. And I think another way too, so Landon asked a question, basically, how do you suggest getting in buy-in from higher ups on a budget for video? Because it's a lot of times not $0, right? Like it can be a significant budget request. And I would say something is to also lean on your agency partner. So Taylor or whoever, lean on us as your agency partner or whoever your partner is to help build your case, right? Because Taylor, you mentioned, once we had our sort of first couple projects done with you, that really, again, building the trust, showing what we can do, but we had to show you up in the beginning, like, hey, we're capable of doing what you're looking for, accomplishing your goal and vision. And so what we do on our end is we like to put together, customized creative briefs that have a lot of examples of our work. We don't want people to necessarily take just, myself and Leo and saying, yep, we can absolutely do this, but showcasing what we've done for similar clients. Maybe it's not always one-to-one. Sometimes we're pitching a client, they want to do something or have a video that we haven't produced fully, like a perfect example prior to, but we have the pieces, right? Almost like the breadcrumbs, as you mentioned, Taylor. Like we even have the breadcrumbs of all the different aspects of that potential video. But again, leaning in on that partner to help you build that case. So putting together presentations, examples of work, talking about process too. A lot of times people think, okay, well, we're going to spend all this money, but like, what do we even get for this? Are they just going to, we ask them for a video and they just make us a video and that's it? No, like, we explain, here's how our process works. We're going to do a kickoff call. We then go into pre-production. We really go into so that our customers and our partners know what to expect from us, know that level of communication, collaboration. So it's not just, oh, I order one event recap video and now we deliver one event recap video. It's very, again, collaborative and creative process. And I think that helps sort of showcase the value behind the dollars as well.
And I kind of want to just kind of quickly, I don't want to talk too much about Consume and our process, but like, it's funny you mentioned that, Lydia, because yesterday we had a kickoff call with a company that needs video for an event. And 2 hours for the video, for the kickoff, I get a call or a message from their president says, hey, do we need this kickoff call? I just want X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, just trust us. We have a process. I think you'll get more out of this kickoff call than just us landing with saying you want X, Y, and Z. And we have our process, and Tracy, this might benefit you. Like, I'm happy to walk through that with you offline. We have our process to dive a little bit deeper, really get to the root of what the client wants, ask the right questions, make the right suggestions. And that's what you want in an agency partner, not someone who just says, I want this and get it for me, but someone who wants to ask questions and ultimately on the client side, be willing and open to the suggestions, and ultimately together you get something that everyone likes.
Yes. I personally love the questions that you ask. And I think that we've even, as partners, improved the process over time. You guys always had a great process in place, but I think that there was an area of opportunity, honestly, on our end, when it comes to, the project brief that we provide. And so doing those kickoff calls, sharing our goals and objectives, making sure that it's documented so that every party is aligned really helps to make the whole process more efficient. And so then when you get to that post-production phase, that timeline and turnaround time is so much shorter if you do the work on the front end. And so I think we've gotten really good at that as partners.
Wonderful. We did have it's more of a comment than a question, but it's from Q, and it's a great one. So I know Q through the events industry. She works for AFR, so it's Taylor, you're probably familiar with them, a event furniture rental company. They do a lot. It's massive company. But she says she sees a benefit in using video as an incentive or selling point to attract sponsors. In her role, if someone's asking her to sponsor an event, but if part of that sponsorship is we're having a video created, we'll ensure that your branding is incorporated in that video, in that event recap video. And, as a sponsor, you'll have perhaps your logo or perhaps, little like pop-up signs or again, your product featured in our event recap video as a sponsor. That seems very attractive and now makes that sponsorship opportunity even, again, expand beyond the time and the location of the event. Because of course, yes, you want to sponsor events and you need sponsors for your event. But if you can say, sponsor our event, and in our event recap video, your logo will be included. We will, let's say maybe your furniture, maybe you're an entertainment provider, maybe you're a DJ or a band or, all these different types of, event services, caterer, etc. Now you're sponsoring this event. Now your product or your services are being featured in a video that you're not paying for because you're sponsoring. Now you have additional content and that reach is greater and again goes beyond just, an event from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. on a Tuesday evening. So thanks, Q, for that comment. I think that's really a great point to bring up as well. Amazing.
And to that point, similar but different, as meeting planners, they're always looking for ways to drive revenue beyond attendee or, exhibitor attendance. And so the video can even become, while it can be a showcase for sponsors for sure, can even become a sponsorship that you sell, depending on the audience reach that you have. So there's a variety of benefits and angles to look at it in that way.
Absolutely. I know we're finishing up on our time. We just have a few more minutes. So if there's anyone in the audience that does have a burning question that they've been waiting and sitting on and wondering if they should ask, please send it in the Q&A. Again, Taylor, we really appreciate your time. We know that you are a busy human being with a lot going on. You got your own event that you are heavily involved in coming up this summer. Anything else, Taylor, that you want to, pitch or anything about Shepard or anything you want to make sure you mention before we wrap up?
Oh gosh, no. This was about you guys. If anything, I would just want to reiterate how amazing you all are as partners and how I feel like you operate as an extension of our team. And I think that Shepard has grown in so many facets because of the contributions that you've made through video. And so we use them in a multitude of ways. And, I'm excited for the relationship to continue to grow and look forward to partnering with you on so many other things. And thank you for this opportunity to kind of share a little bit of insight. But no, I couldn't say, I have nothing but good things to say about you guys. So thank you.
Appreciate you, Taylor. And no, we are not paying Taylor to say these things for us.
This is just, again, coming from the heart.
Coming from the heart. Well, again, unless Leo, do you have any other questions for Taylor, or else we'll just say thank you.
We're right at time. Thank you guys. Thanks everyone who attended. Thanks Taylor for coming out. Thanks Lydia for really putting this whole thing together. You see a C down there. That is not just the Consume account. That is our good friend Corbin Surio, who's been running the show, helped put everything together. So special thanks to everyone at Consume Media. If you want to learn more about Consume Media, We got a website, consume-media.com. If you want to learn more about Shepard, Shepard Exposition Services, it is shepardes.com. Correct, Taylor?
Yep, that's right. But follow us on LinkedIn. That's the place to be.
Follow us on LinkedIn too. How about that?
Yeah, there you go.
Yes,
Awesome.
lots of content there. Appreciate everyone. Thank you for your time, and stay tuned. We are excited to announce hopefully some new topics and webinar conversations coming later this year. And if you have any ideas or suggestions, or again, any other questions, please email us or connect with us on LinkedIn, and we'd love to hear from you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.